It's time to fire up and do a little practice for the Jack Daniel's World Championship. After winning Memphis in May, we were fortunate enough to get an invite to cook the Jack. So I've at least got to put in some effort, and we're going to do 2 practice cooks just to ensure that we're on point with our flavors and our tenderness. Let's get started. All right, we're going to leave all of our doors open, our air vents, everything for a minute. I will say I've already filled my water pan here with some water here. So we do have a little bit of moisture in this cooking chamber, even though this is a dry heat cooker. So we'll be back. Let's get some meat seasoned. As I said, we're fixing to run a practice for the Jack Daniel's World Championship coming up. So this is an Imperial Wagyu brisket from Mr. Brisket in Ohio. And I can tell you, we've got one here that we injected last night with our beef injection. I'm going to show you guys how to mix that up. And I'm doing the other this morning. I'm going to inject this morning. So before I mix injection up, let's go ahead and I'm going to put this brisket in a pan here. So this is the way this brisket come to me, already trimmed from Mr. Brisket. You can order your chicken, you can order your ribs, you can order your pork collars. Everything comes in. And I haven't cooked KCBS in a while. So this is honestly the lazy way of cooking. When they can trim this quality of meat down for you, it's kind of hard to say no. Now, as y'all can see, this brisket is pretty. It's marbled up, everything you're looking for in a competition brisket. So let's mix up some injection. All right, we got 1 can of beef consomme. I'm gonna use some smart water here, just high alkaline water. I'm gonna use 1 full can of that. Now we've got our beef injection we've opened up. I'm gonna take a 1/2 cup. And I'm gonna be honest with you, that 1/2 cup's kind of big to go in that bag. I'm still gonna put a 1/2 cup, but I'm gonna use a 1/4 cup scoop. One, 2. Now this has got rendered beef fat in it, it's got onion, it's got garlic, it's got phosphates, and it's got a good savory flavor, and that's what you're looking for in a beef injection. Now we're not gonna be able to put all this 20 ounces in here. Some of this is actually gonna be left for the wrap. All right, now we're just gonna take our brisket, and for me, I always take my hand. You're trying to create like a checkerboard pattern, but you don't want it to kind of, you can see it run down that brisket. And you can see it shoot out of it. So I've always got on an apron and usually holding my kind of hand up, because it will come out of that brisket and shoot everywhere, all over you, the camera person, down the wall, on the ceiling. It does not matter. There's no rules when it comes to injection shooting out of a piece of meat. Now you just want to work this all the way to the end. You see where it wants to come out there. Do one more little bit right here, and I'm gonna call it a day. And I squirted it everywhere on the last one. Well, now that you've got that brisket injection, for me, I'm gonna take a little bit of paper towels. All right, and you wanna wipe a little bit of your excess moisture kind of off the top. Go ahead and do this brisket I done overnight too. Now you can see a difference. This brisket is trimmed up perfect. But this brisket right here, we have our brisket caddy right here that kind of holds it tight and in place. I don't have but one, so we're gonna use one in the brisket caddy and one I'm not going to. I know the effects of doing that because I've cooked with them a long time. If you're just cooking in your backyard at home, you don't need the brisket caddy. You don't need it in a contest. It just helps hold that brisket a little bit better shape and form. It's completely up to you if you do use it. It is something I've adapted, so I do use it. All right, I'm gonna get my lid back on this to save it for when I wrap. I'm gonna go check my fire, come back, season my brisket, and get ready to put them on. All right, now for me, I'm going with that classic garlic jalapeno as my base layer. If you've got a favorite AP rub, be sure to use it. Now remember, beef is a big cut of meat, so it can take a little seasoning, if you know what I'm saying. Now as you can notice, I'm not seasoning the sides of this brisket. This is where this is gonna get a little, I'm sure in the comments, people coming at me. But cooking competition barbecue, for me, what I've learned over the years, the style that I cook, when I season the sides of that brisket, it seems like when I'm cutting it, the edges of the meat want to crumble a little bit. And it seems like the salt just gets on those edges right there, and just where you want it to, when you cut, it tears just a little bit. Well, for me, I call myself about a half perfectionist, and I think the rounded edges on this brisket, when you cut it with a knife and you see those rounded edges in the box, it just shows that judge that you had a better cook. You took your time with that brisket. And so that's just one of those little tricks that I do. I don't season the sides. It seems like it's less tears on the meat at the end of it once it's finished, if that makes sense to anyone. Or maybe it's just me talking out of my crazy head about competition barbecue. I don't know. All right, my next layer is gonna be my beef rub. If you've got a favorite beef rub, be sure to use it. We've been using this combination of garlic jalapeno and beef rub for a long time on brisket. We've actually had a 180 at the Jack Daniel's before in brisket. So we're gonna try to replicate that one more time. Now that we've got that good salt and pepper blend on there, for me, I'm coming back with a little bit of that competition barbecue rub for a little bit of color. Now, at one time, I used to use my pecan rub is what I would come back with, a light coat. I've since swapped over to my competition rub. It does have a little bit of pecan flavoring in it. Well, I think these are perfectly seasoned the way I would like them for a contest. I'm gonna get outside, check my pit, see if it's up to temp yet, and get ready to put these on. You can see our pit is running about 375. I just clocked back the damper down on the bottom, cut the damper halfway off up top. Well, not halfway, just about a quarter way I had it. Let's get in here. We're running some good, clean smoke. Now, I'm gonna pull this microwave shelf out right here, and let's get this brisket on right here in this brisket caddy. Let's see what we can do with it. Woo, that's like a steak. You hear that sizzle? Woo! Now, let's get this one on. You'll see me kind of bunch it up. Now, well, you know what? I'm gonna move that right there. Now I'm gonna get that door shut, and we're gonna start checking this grill back just a little bit, and we're gonna get her dialed in about 325 for a minute. It's at 300, it's gonna come up, fluctuate, but I'm gonna settle in about 300 eventually. But I like to put on a little bit hot. It seems like it puffs that beef up a little bit right where I want it to be. Now I gotta prep some pork now because it won't be long. Gotta put some pork collars on. All right, we've got our pork injection mixed up. We used a half a cup to 20 ounces. On the bag it says 12 ounces of liquid. With my shakers, I always go 20 ounces. That's really all I ever need, especially when cooking pork collars right here. Now these are pork collars, come from Mr. Brisket also, already trimmed up, already done. And I can tell y'all, what makes it easier than that? I don't know anything any easier. Thank you, Mr. Brisket. Amazing pork collar, of course, prairie fresh. That's what I'm always cooking these days. Now, got this mixed up already with apple juice and a half a cup of the injection. Got it shook up already. Forgot to catch it on camera. But let's take our old needle here and let's start blowing them up. Now you're mainly going to use the money muscle, but there are some tubes kind of right behind this money muscle that's very useful, and some of this bacon underneath here. So depending on how you build your box, it's depending on how you're going to tear it apart. Now our pork injection just creates a savory, balanced flavor. It already has phosphates included in it, so you don't have to add any more. And when you're just cooking at home, it's completely up to you if you want to impart some more flavor into your meat or not. You know, I developed these for competition, but a lot of people, after they try them once in their backyard, go, wow, I'm not cooking without that again. If the rub puts this much flavor in it, the injection just really helps retain its moisture and creates a more savory flavor in your mouth. Now you can see mixing up 20 ounces is plenty for these 4 pork collars. More than enough. Yeah, I'm gonna call it a day with that. We've got a little bit left over. So let's get in here and dry these off and get ready to season them up. I'm not trying to wipe all the moisture off, but I am trying to get some of the excess off. Let's take that glove off. Now, y'all already know I'm hitting it with that garlic jalapeno. I gotta have that spice layer on the bottom to slap that judge's tongue. All right, now after we do that, we're gonna come back with a little bit of that competition barbecue rub. Now it's completely up to you, however you season your meat. I know I'm probably gonna get some comments about I'm wasting rub or whatever, but the judges only get to taste one bite, 1 or 2 bites. And so if you're not being liberal with it, they're not gonna get that flavor they're looking for. Well, I'm gonna call it a day on those money mussels right here. I'm gonna check my grill, get ready to get them on in just a minute, and cook some pork. All right, our brisket's been on about 45 minutes. I'm gonna get these pork collars on now. Let's get them on and get them positioned. All right, now we just get our grill lid shut, let it keep going, and let's check our brisket out. Oh yeah, look at that. Yep, doing everything we need it to do, and we'll spin it around there. Let it keep eating. We'll be back. All right, we're 1 hour in of our briskets cooking, so let's get in here and take a look at them. All right, y'all see that nice, good brisket? I'm gonna use some of this liquid gold right here. Get that back in there. All right, we're just gonna get our grill lid shut. That's gonna keep it moist, put a little bit of buttery, velvety feel on that. It's just something most barbecue guys do. The old terrible blue stuff in a bottle. We're gonna keep rolling. All right, I'm gonna get in here. It's been about 2 hours since we put our brisket on that microwave chef. We rotated it around a few times. You can see it's got great color on it. I'm gonna move that off of there. And we'll go down here on it. Now, one thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get some more butter and put some more parquet in here. Now, I'm just gonna let that go. That brisket should be ready to wrap in about another 20 minutes or so. The one that was on the microwave chef, the other one's gonna probably have to go about another 45 or so before we wrap it to an hour. That's a huge difference between that microwave chef. It cooks so much hotter, it swells that brisket up, it gets that bark set, and that's what really we're looking for in a competition style brisket. All right, you can see that we've got our Prairie Fresh ribs all trimmed up, ready to go. The membrane is skinned off the back. These ribs also come from Mr. Brisket here, already cut down, already everything done. I'm gonna use our garlic jalapeno rub. You can use mustard as a binder, a base. I'm not even grabbing it out of the fridge today. I know that I normally do, but I'm not. Get a good layer of this garlic jalapeno down, and then we're gonna come back with that comp rub. Let it sweat in. Now we're gonna let these sit on our counter for just a little while to start getting ambient, start sweating in. I'm gonna get back out here, check my brisket, check my pork, kind of see where everything's at. I bet the brisket's gonna need wrap right now, so let's get back out to the cooker. All right, it's time to wrap our briskets. They've been on about 2.5 hours. And as you can see, I'm gonna lift this out of here. Look at that brisket. That is a perfectly good brisket, swelled up the way it needs to be. All right, now that we've got that done, we've got our brisket wrap, which is the same thing we injected with. And we're just gonna pour it in here around these briskets. Now, once we get that done, I've got a chef's alarm set to 206 degrees. Now, I'm going with a lid on this today to make it easy. Now, this brisket here on the bottom, you can see how some of the bark is washed off. We'll fix that in a little bit. That's just another little trick. We know what to do. Now, that's just as simple and easy as you please. We've got them both wrapped. One setting at almost 164 and one setting at around 155. I knew that one on the bottom rack was gonna be a little less done, about that 10-degree mark. It also did not swell up as much as that microwave shelf. I'm kind of running these side by side. I mean, I normally cook on the microwave shelf just to show a little bit of comparison for you guys using the microwave shelf versus not using it. So let's check our wood. And we're still pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap some pork real quick. Let me get ready for that. And then we're gonna put some ribs on. Here, you want pork? Now we've got a mixture right here of butter bath, a little bit of brown sugar honey habanero, a little bit of maple brown sugar honey habanero, and a little bit of tangy vinegar barbecue sauce. That looks like a deep caramel. Now that we've got the money muscle and brisket wrap, it's time to get on these great looking ribs. And right now, just look at that color. They've been sitting there about 25 minutes just sweating, and I don't think there's a better color in barbecue. Prove me wrong. All right, let's let this royal oak and this good old center cut hickory wood do its job. All right, we've got our chicken thighs laid out here and our wings. These also come from Mr. Brisket in Ohio. As you can see, they're nice little pillows. I've got them laid up on this rack now. Now we did take them out of brine and dry them off. All we used was our chicken injection in brine. We didn't inject these thighs. All we did was mix up a half a cup with 32 ounces of chicken stock and let it soak overnight. That is it, nothing special about it. So I'm gonna turn these over, and the two rubs that we're gonna be using is chicken rub and our competition rub. So I'm gonna start off with a layer of our chicken rub and just get on a light layer on that bottom side. And you know, you can choose to take the skin off your thighs and season under the skin if you want to. That's completely up to you. I feel like with brining myself, I don't do that. I season the outside because once you sauce and everything like that, that's where your flavor's coming from anyway. I want them to taste the chicken on the inside. All right, now once we get that done, let's come back with a little bit of that competition rub. All right, now let's get some hands dirty and turn these things over. Now, once you kind of get them turned over like this, I'm gonna go ahead and swap pans. All right, our good buddy Ryan with Only Cans come up with these file forms right here. They're really neat how they go together and all that, and they'll hold 8 chicken thighs in a half pan. You put your butter around the edges, it's hole drilled. He sent them to us. I've used all kind of devices when it comes to doing chicken. So for me, I'm gonna take this thigh up now that I've done that and kind of just set it off in here, just like that. Now, when you create that little pillow right there, you gotta take a butter knife usually and kind of make sure the edges tuck off in there all the way, right? Once you roll that skin around, how that one did. So with me trying to roll this thigh up like this, okay? You always wanna try to roll it over with the skins like that, and when you put it in, you can grab one side to fix. Now, if you're worried about any of the excess skin on here, what don't render, for me, I always took a knife afterwards and kind of trimmed it, spot trimmed it around after it's cooked before I build the box and sauce them. We'll show y'all some of that too. So for me right now, I'm gonna kind of go around that thigh, down the sides of it with that butter knife. It kind of ensures that any of that skin that didn't kind of roll, that's what I'm doing, pressing it down. And you can kind of shape these thighs a little bit too. Now that we've got that done, let me take this other glove off. I don't want to contaminate nothing. Now, I've got my chicken rub here. Oh, that's competition rub. I got my chicken rub here as my first layer. Let's go on with that. Now, once you get them kind of evenly seasoned with that chicken rub, you can kind of see there kind of where I'm at here on that. Not too heavy, not too light. Now let's go with this good competition rub. That right there looks like perfectly panned up competition chicken. There's only one thing really left to do, and that's get some butter around the edges. So underneath all these right here, little holes and little cutouts. So we're gonna run butter all around the edges, and as it melts, it'll go down there and this chicken will just set. in a nice, good butter. Y'all already know we're using that old blue squeeze top. All right, second pan is down. Let's get ready to put on some comp chicken. Let's check our ribs and see if they need to be spritzed. And I'm gonna check this money muscle and see how tender it is already. All right, our brisket's 189 and 185. It just turned. So all I'm doing is moving one to the back. And putting one up front. Now while I'm in here, hitting about 195, 196 on those money muscles right now. They're looking good. Now let's look at these ribs over here. Everything is looking good, so now we're just gonna spritz with a little bit of water. Look at that color right there. That's what we want. Those ribs are gonna be ready to wrap real soon too. Our money muscles probably like about another 8 to 10 degrees, and these briskets like about 25 is where they're at. So we're just gonna sit here, watch our monitors, keep checking. We'll be back. Dead on the money, 203, 204 on money muscle. We wanna wait till about 206 to pull those, and we're finna go ahead and wrap these ribs now. Now, look at this rib right here. That's the perfect color, the bark set, not too dark, anything. First layer, Mitchell put down a little bit of honey chipotle rub. We're gonna go back with a little bit more. And then we're coming back. He got us a half cup here, so we had to kind of eyeball it. Get 3/4 of a cup on that rib. And seal it up. It's a lot easier when you're only wrapping 3 to 4 racks at a KCBS contest instead of like Memphis and May when you're trying to wrap 30-something racks. So already back on the pit. You can kind of see running these chef's alarms from ThermalWorks right here. We got one brisket running at 200 degrees right now. We've got another one coming in at 197. So even though I have those chef's alarms set, when they go off, I'm still gonna unwrap that brisket. I'm gonna get in there and probe it and see if it's got that buttery feel that I'm looking for to just let it slide in and out. You don't want nothing with any resistance whatsoever because that means it's still tight. Remember, tenderness is what wins contests. So we're gonna wait on that pork and brisket. I'll keep my nasty gloves on and we'll be back. Now we got one pan of chicken we just put on the Outlaw. I'm gonna run a test run on this bullseye here just to have a little fun. So let's go ahead and set it on and get it shut. Now we are running those Roll Oak Charcoal Hickory Infused Pellets. We've got it set at 325 degrees. We're gonna give it about 30 minutes and take a peek at it and see where we're at. All right, I was out here and I went ahead and pulled these money muscles. They were all hitting 206, 207. You can see where I probed them. I know my film crew wasn't out here for me to see that. I went ahead and got them out here to record this real quick once we pulled them off. But now since I've got them off, I'm literally just panning them up and I'm fixing to slap them in my Cambro and hold them for a little while just for some rest. So let's get them in here to our Cambro, get them to holding. We got one brisket at 203, the other one's at 200.3. Our ribs are wrapped, and of course we've got one pan of chicken on right here. So let's let this cooker do its thing. Let's get this in the Cambro. We'll be back for a little more. Now, as you can see, I just went ahead and slapped my wings down here on the Rectech Bullseye. I'm just trying something a little bit different. We've run chicken before on the stick burner several times on the Outlaw. Just changing it up and playing a little bit, honestly. Even though this is a practice cook, I still like to play. I have my traditions I stick to on the real contest day. But just, I always love mastering different cookers and seeing what I can do on anything. And to me, that's what a true pit master is. A lot of people have 1 or 2 cookers and that's it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of these guys in cooking contests can only cook on 1 cooker is what you find out. And some of them are only good at a handful of meats. So for me, I'm a purist. I love cooking, smoking. I'm intrigued by all of it. I love it. Another thing I hadn't done in a long time was a lot of live fire, and we need to do some of that soon. So I always love growing my skills in any way possible, and that's what I encourage everyone to do. All right, we've had our alarm set at 206. This one's hitting 208 because we cut it off. This brisket just hit 206. So I'm gonna get in here now and let's kind of pull. Oh yeah, that brisket looks good. All right, and for me guys, I can tell y'all, it's not tender enough. I think it needs, this brisket's going to go on 210, 212. That ain't butter to me. That is not butter. And so I'm gonna check this one. Nope, same way. Not there. I can tell by going in that one time, it's not what I want. I'm gonna run this on up to about 212 on this brisket that was 208. And we're gonna do the same thing on the other one. We're gonna let them go on up 210, 212, see where they're at and feel if they're like butter then. So we'll be back. Might take 20 minutes or so, 25, we'll see. All right, let's check some ribs. Now they've been on a little over an hour and I'm looking for some bone pullback, but we're not there where I wanna be yet. See, these bones hadn't popped through yet? Nope, that one, no bones popped through. Nope, not there yet. Now, we've still got briskets. We've got one at 209. We got both of them at 209.3. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Both of them will be at the same temp. We're gonna let them go on to that 210, 212 mark. 212 actually. And I'll be back to check them for probe tenderness. Those ribs are probably gonna need about another 15, 20-ish minutes if I had to guess, maybe even 25. They're close, but no cigar. All right, as you can see, we're spritzing our chicken here. Now, I think these chicken thighs are honestly formed enough. Now, once those are set like that, that's a pretty chicken thigh. I'm gonna come in here and get that lid over it, just like that. Now, I've got one pan of parquet right here. Now I'm gonna cover those wings up. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna stack them in there just like that, and then I'm gonna rotate them about every 15 minutes to ensure. That's just one tip that you can do on any style cooker, drums, or anything like that with a 22.5-inch grate. Stack them on top, rotate them. If you got wrapped ribs, you can do the same thing. You got 6 on a cooker, lay 3 down, 3 on top, rotate them every 15 minutes. Believe it or not, they'll finish out pretty even. All right, we're hitting 212 on our briskets. Oh, look at that, I have no resistance. That's like butter now. Falls in there like butter. So I'm gonna take this probe out. Take this probe out, and let's probe this one. This is an ugly brisket here, but it's tender. It's tender right where it ought to be. All right, we gotta get these in the Cambro. Let's get them over here. All right, briskets are in, pork is in. Our ribs are almost done, close, but not yet. And our chicken is on the grill, so we don't like much from finishing this comp up. We're gonna hold a little bit and do just like a contest. We're gonna mimic those turn-in times of those boxes. We'll be back. I did just take a peek at one of these. Whew. Get that grill lid shut. Let's come over here and we can open that up. All right, now this rib here has not pulled back all the way. That was in the very back, but look at that. When you go to do it, let's pick that up. Now remember that push-pull test? You see that? When that bone wants to pull through there, see, that rib's done. We don't want to go no further with that rib. That's perfect to me. Now most of the time, you're gonna have a little bit more pullback like this, right? And that's fine on your bigger bones because the majority of the time your ribs is gonna come right here. Now this rib may just got a little bit overcooked, but that'll seal back up and it'll be perfect. Now I didn't even temp these at the end. I do that push-pull test. Oh yeah, look at that rib there. So let's pick this bone up. You see that bone right there wanting to come through there when I pick that up? That tells me that rib is perfectly cooked. I don't want to do nothing else to these ribs. Get them in a Cambro and let them rest We're waiting on our chicken to finish out, which shouldn't take long. Y'all come on over and take a peek at this. Look at that. Little pillows of goodness. And we're close, but we're not there yet. Not where we want to be. All right, and get the grill lid shut and let that chicken keep going. With it being almost 190, we need to go to a little over 200. 203 is what I'm kind of shooting for, 202. And I'm gonna say that chicken thigh is gonna need about another 25 minutes, 20 minutes, somewhere up in that range. So we'll be back to check it. This chicken is done. We are hitting 207, 208 in this chicken. Look at that. Pillowy goodness. Let's leave it alone. I'm gonna run that out of there. Now let's look at these good old wings. Them wings is done too. Now we're gonna get this chicken in the Cambro. I'm gonna let everything rest, and then we're gonna get in the role of building boxes. I'm gonna have to add up my time to be sure that I'm on my right time scale. I'm gonna have to wait about another 45 minutes to start, but we're gonna be close on the same KCBS timeline as what I'm trying to mimic today. All right, this chicken has to be done by now. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'd say we're there now. We hitting 205, 206. All right, I'm gonna grab this other chicken. It's time to glaze some chicken up, get the sauce set, build a box. That is a perfect way to cook chicken with those foul forms. Everybody needs to give Ryan with Only Cans Barbecue a look at these right here, because that is pretty cool. Now, I've got my sauce here in my Yeti bowl, already heated up, already warm. The big thing about what I need to do first, honestly, is get it over here on this rack though, because if you go to dunking it in sauce first, you're gonna water down your sauce with a lot of butter and things like that. So I'm gonna get in here and be real gentle and just start placing my chicken on this rack. So right now, anything that you would see that would need to be trimmed off of these thighs before you sauce them, that's what I would do right now, okay? Get this other pan and this half pan here. All right, as you can see, get these pans out of the way. All right, we've got our chicken here. Got all that done. I'm gonna turn this around. Now, you got two options. I just let it sit here and kind of drip dry. You see it got some of that butter off of it. You can return it to your cooker for 2 or 3 minutes to kind of just dry it off a little more. That's completely up to you. I'm not, I'm going straight in sauce, right back down on this thing here. I don't have my other tongs here. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you guys. I forgot them at my other house, and they would grab this chicken a little bit better than what I am. And now's the time to take your brush and go back with anything you need to get on the sides or on the top to drizzle any more on, anything like that. And I will tell y'all, I normally sort these chicken thighs. I can about see which ones I'm gonna use in the box. And like this one right here. See that excess skin hanging on that? We gotta get that off. Okay, right there like that. All right, let's take these back out to the grill after I wash my hand off. Now, I'm just gonna allow that sauce to set for just a few minutes before I take it in here and build a box. All right, that chicken's been on the grill about 5 to 6 minutes, and I think that's right where I need to be. I'll take that all day long. There's a couple pieces I need to get off of things, but look at those wings right there. Well, as Big Jake would say, that's where it's at. All right, as you can see, we've got our parsley box built, and we've just got some wet napkins right around it. That's all that we're doing, nothing else. Now, with these around here like this, it makes it real easy just to pull out and you're not got sauce everywhere or touching the corners of the box or anything like that. Makes it really simple, really easy. So I do have a pair of tongs at home that makes it easier for me to grab on the sides of this chicken. So at a contest, I will be kind of doing it like I was dunking. But, you know, being here, I'm gonna have to use gloves. I don't have that tool with me. It's just a special kind of tong. So I will say, if you pan over here with the camera, I've kind of sorted these 6 thighs. They look like they're the most even sauced and things like that I can pick out of everything else. So these are the 6 that I'm gonna run with right here. And that's the thing about it. You have to pick through your chicken to kind of realize which pieces you want, get the most uniform pieces, things like that. So let's go ahead and start boxing this up. Now, the big thing about the jack, you have to turn in white and dark meat. A lot of contests, you don't have to do that, or none of the others, but the jack you do. You're only required to turn in 1 piece, but I turn in enough for all 6 judges to get a bite. That's just my rule of thumb. Now I'm gonna kind of stagger these wings is what I'm gonna do. Now you see that, you pull it all off. Now I'm gonna take the glove that I got on right here. So, y'all to see, I take some tongs here, a little bit of tweezers, surgical tools, and you can kind of position those to where you need them to be. Kind of turn them. You can get that to sink down a little bit. Looking from behind here. Now that's just me being particular, but I'm not afraid to turn that in all day long at the jack. So there's a good practice run of chicken right there. And there's really only one thing left to do. Then let's get a piece of this and let's try a bite. Look at that. Tell me that chicken ain't juicy. It's flavorful. And then the only thing I didn't do, I didn't taste test this beforehand. I will tell you, I would have used a little bit of salt on top. Just a little bit, just a spridge. One of those little cheap picnic shakers goes a long way to cashing that check at the end. Let's roll in the ribs right now, but that chicken, let's call it a day. I know the judges would like it if we were turning it in. Almost said a dirty, dirty word. Look at that ribbo. Damn it, that's hot. Damn it. Wish y'all could smell these though. All right, let's get these back out to the grill, get that sauce tacked up, and get ready to slice them, make a box. Woo, look at that. I'll take it all day long, twice on Sunday. All right, we've got another box right here filled with parsley. We got some Q-tips here, my scissors, and I usually have a cake spatula, like a spreader, and it's probably out in my trailer, but I'm not walking out there to get it, so I'm just gonna use a bread knife. What I do to handle ribs, first off, I like cutting my ribs face down. So I'm gonna put a little bit of sauce on the board. I should've got my paper board out. But I usually run this knife up under that rib like that, okay, in the dead center. And it helps me move that rib, okay? Then I can take and I can flip it up like that, and I can see the back side of it. You can choose to cut with a real knife or an electric knife. I usually cut with an electric knife. Now, usually I do this right here. I bring my rib around, I take my brush and I do that on both sides. Okay, you usually got enough sauce on the cutting board. You can kind of pick up some, but you just want to kind of lock that rib in, because if not, to me, when a judge picks it up and you hadn't painted the sides of that rib, it kind of starts turning off gray on you and everything else, right? Like it's overcooked, even though it's not. All right, and keep it simple, keep it easy. Now I can tell y'all, these right here look great. I'm gonna take this rib right here and I'm gonna taste it though. I wanna make sure my tenderness is right and everything else. I always do this. Here we go. Look at that. Woo! I was just telling one of my buddies, if nothing else, I know how to cook a rib. If nothing else, all else fails. I ain't gonna say it's gonna get a call. They gonna know we was there.
All right, I know that I'm using this rack right here, okay? I'm gonna scoot these around, I'm gonna even them out, I'm gonna look at them. All right, I think I'm gonna use this row right here if everything stands up right. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this row in first, push it all the way to the back of the box, then lay this in here because the bottom of it looks better where it's gonna look even. So you're not gonna see the uneven bones kind of running a little long on the bottom side. Let me show you what I'm talking about. And first off, you wanna take these ribs right here. All right. I'm gonna go over here and kind of center them in my box. Now, let's kind of fix that rib. Right there, mash that down. Now, once you get your gloves off and everything out of the way, pull that off, pull that off, pull that off. Now, I'm gonna take these Q-tips here. And I'm gonna wipe some bones off. I always think those bones being clean gives it a little better presentation. Check the sides of my ribs on the ends. Make sure the sauce is not pooling or nothing like that. And I could probably get a little more precise with this, but there you go. There's Rib Box 101 KCBS. I can see looking at it from this side, I could probably mash down a little bit right here. Right? I don't want to, that rib's tender. I do say when I'm at a big contest, I always like to try to put at least 10 bones in the box. I think that it fills out the box better. When you go to putting 8 bones in it, it just seems like it's missing something to me. It's too much garnish. I don't like to see a lot of the garnish. The rib box I want full to the T. Hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial on a KCBS rib. Now let's roll into that pork for that jack practice. All right, let's take a look at the pork. Now, usually I'd be done unwrap this, I'll be honest. Looked at it. Since we're at home practicing, I hadn't. All right. All right, for me, what I do, once I cut that money muscle, I usually take it and try to round the corners a little bit. Hey y'all, that muscle feels good, real good. I'm gonna set these back over here just a minute. Now what I normally do is I take a half pan, and I'm gonna get me a half pan. Someone. You know, I got some assistants back here behind me. And now I'm gonna start slicing this money muscle. Yeah, that end crumbled a little bit, but whew, that is some good pieces of money muscle right there. I mean, excellent pieces. Before I go any further, let me get my grease separator. So I take this right here and make a dip out of it. I'm gonna add a little bit of sauce to it, and that's gonna be what I'm gonna finish this with. But we're gonna put a little bit of sauce in there. Now we're just making like a barbecue au jus is what we're doing. Now I'm gonna taste this a little bit. That's all I want. While that's kind of hanging out in there, staying warm, absorbing some flavor. Now, let's see if we can't find some tubes and a little bit of bacon to go in here. That's warm. Trying not to pull that all apart. Now, I'm just kind of feeling around now to what tubes I want. And the feel is something I really can't teach you. It's just something you got to learn forever. I will say, like this, I'm trying to get that tube right here. It's just not as tender as I would like it. It's tender, it could be 8, but it's just not what I want for the box. And that right there is. And I don't need much more with the money mussels that I have. And a couple of these just don't like the tenderness that I would prefer. All right, now is about the time I clean my board off. Now that we've kind of found the pieces that we want, I'm gonna come over here and I've got my box. Now, see, I got all these pieces laid out here. I'm gonna take a little bit of sauce. And I usually warm my sauce in a sous vide where it's piping hot. Oh yeah. Sorry I'm not as talkative building these boxes as I normally am, but I like to put all my focus into this. In all its glory, there's a pork box, KCBS. That's what I'm gonna be turning in, something very similar to that at the Jack, I'm sure. May put a few more chunks of money mussel in, as far as just breaking them up goes, with some of those tubes, but I will be running a box similar to that. So pork is one of those categories though, by the time judges get to it, it's the third thing judged. They're semi getting full depending on how much they ate. And it's one of those categories, you could be 50th, you could be first, you could be 99th. Who knows? It's a crap roll, right? That's pork for you. I have won and lost contests on pork. Some of the most memorable would be getting, I think it was 46 pork out of 50 teams at a Sam Club finals. I missed out on an additional $52,000. If I would have had 38th place pork or better, that would have been a great day. But instead, one of my good friends won it. Very proud for him. You can't win them all. That's what I like to say. And there we go. It's over. Let's make a brisket. All right, as you can see, I got this brisket out of the pan. And y'all, let me tell y'all, this one that was on that microwave shelf in that brisket caddy, OMG. OMG. It is some kind of good. So for me right now, first thing we need to do is we need to strain and get this grease off so we'll have some au jus. All right. Now, while we letting that strain off, let's see if we can't make friends with this brisket here. Get a few good slices out of it. Now, I usually slice with an electric knife. I've not sliced with a brisket slicer in I don't know how long. This is a really good, sharp, brand new knife. And we're gonna see if we can't make it work. And we do have a little bit of fat on the end there, but I'm gonna tell y'all, when you can get that brisket right there, and it's just, look at that. No resistance whatsoever. That's a really, really good cook. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I gotta have a little bite of this. Damn it, boy. Now I will tell y'all, I see something that I don't like. See that brisket I wants to crumble right there? I mean, it's not on me, but coming in here getting that fat off of there. We got a lot of fat on that end and that brisket starts thinning out, so I really believe these are gonna be my money slices out of this brisket. Now, I always take and kind of paint over the top here like this. And then one thing that I really like to do, just on the end, I take a little bowl and I'm gonna get some of this out of here. Okay, and pour a little bit up. And I go in here with a little bit of barbecue sauce. I want just enough to taste it. I mean, just enough. Now, once you get all that done, you take a little bit of this, and I'm gonna come back just like this. Well, I would say this is a good brisket box. Probably needs a little cleanup around it. There we go. There's your typical KCBS box. And I will tell you, after turning it this way, I see some mistakes. The brisket's kind of running this way. I've got a piece sticking up right here. So there's always work to be done, okay? You need to mash that greenery on down some more. We need to put a little bit more right there to fill that out, right? So if I was turning this in at a contest, I would definitely want to put a little bit more right there to even that out. I want even garnish on both sides. And you could honestly, I could be a little more symmetrical with my brisket up through here. The spacing is really even. I know a lot of people think that don't matter, but I don't want to say I'm a perfectionist, but I do like trying to turn in stuff the right way. I feel like I build some decent boxes sometimes, but it also depends on how the meat turns out, right?